I'm going to do a lot of stuff tonight. I'm going to go at about 100 miles an hour. This is one of my favorite presentations to do because the connection to water and energy is very important. And this isn't a class about water efficiency in buildings, although I'm going to talk about it. And it's not a class about electricity, but I am going to talk about it. But I'm going to talk about where those merge all over the place. And if you want to take notes, you're welcome to. If you want to get a copy of the slides after, I'll give them to you in PDF format, but I want to get going. You're going to understand how much water waste there is in buildings tonight because I will talk about water. I will talk about the cost of water and conservation and how to better inform budgets, policies, and projects and planning. I don't ever see water addressed in refinancing, and it's stupid. I'm going to explain how electricity is involved in water and how water is involved in electricity. And I'm going to start making you really depressed and very guilty so that you know exactly how much water is used in every single thing you use in your life. That's me. I'm very happy in that picture because A, I have a Guinness in my hand, but B, I'm less than 20 minutes from where my grandmother and my grandfather were born in Ireland. I was at a friend's wedding in Ireland. I've been in the field for about 20 years and I hold the world record for multifamily ASHRAE level 2 audits. No one's done more than I have. I've thrown the gauntlet down and no one tries to pick it up. I do presentations and articles all over the country. I'm speaking at the Building Performance Conference in New Orleans, Louisiana next month. Poor Andy, he has to go to Louisiana for a week. I helped create most of the Multifamily Building Performance Institute trainings and certifications, and I train on them all the time. Back up a little, I'm a huge proponent of energy and water efficiency. I always like to find out who's in the room, but I have all these things that say, who are you? But we don't have many of you. So who are you? What do you do? And quick start. Name, rank, serial number. Go.
Gregory, project manager.
Very good.
Lorraine Julio, we're HVAC contractor.
Wow. I like that. Go.
Lydia Reynolds, associate manager of the Clean Pipe, Climate Justice, and Climate Innovation.
Okay, go.
Program manager for the County.
Okay.
Gabriella Rada, I'm an energy engineer, currently on the grant and transitioning to EA as a sustainable specialist.
I found her. I hired her. I'm super happy. Go.
Mom and Kelly Carpini, I work for an asset manager that focuses on ESG.
Okay.
Eli Greenberg with Kelvin Systems, formerly Radiator Labs. We decarbonize the buildings.
Okay.
Dallas Panier, I work for the Association for Energy Affordability, do energy efficiency for affordable housing.
Go.
My name's Katya, and I'm a government consultant.
Oh, come
Very
on. Say it nice.
How do I?
I've known her 150 years. She used to work for the Housing Authority, and she's very smart. She hides all her brains. Go.
Scott DeVere, principal of DeVere Architecture.
Okay. I'm going to make fun of architects. Go ahead. Yeah, right.
Choking on rice. Jill Baker, I write for Reuters.
I'm Monsi, I work in sustainability strategy at Transportation Company.
Okay.
I'm Eric Natch, I'm a student at Hunter College and currently working in environmental planning right now.
Anybody former Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines? The #1 training area for sustainability in the United States comes from the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, and Marines. So let's start with the cost of energy and water in New York City for all you sustainability gurus. What's the cost for a gallon of water in New York City? Is it 5 cents? Is it 10 cents? Is it 15 cents? How many think 5 cents? How many think 10 cents? How many think 15 cents? How many won't raise their hands no matter how many times I ask a question? Survey says 1.67 cents for a gallon. Why don't we know that off the top of our heads? Okay, let's go to a therm of gas in New York City. Does it cost 80 cents? How many think 80? How many think $1.20? How many think $1.50? How many, you thought, you answered twice now.
I've seen both.
Okay. How many think $2? How many think $38.56? The correct answer is all of the above. It's 80 cents if it's interruptible gas in Brooklyn. It's $1.20 if you're a multifamily contractor. It's $1 if you're a multifamily owner. It's $1.50 to $2 for a residential building. And I use 1 to 4 therms of gas every month for my little gas stove. And no matter how much I use, I get charged $38.56. So on those months, when I use 1 therm and I don't cook much, gas is pretty expensive. Okay. The cost per kilowatt hour of electricity for a single family home or apartment in New York City is, how many think 15 cents? Get out of the solar business. I don't know what you're talking
I
about.
haven't been in New York City for a while. Give me a
How many think 20 cents? Do you pay an electric bill in New York City?
No, I have solar on my roof. But that's what I thought it was, anyway.
How many think 25 cents? Do you have a Con Ed bill? You ever read it?
Not close.
Okay, so you work for an energy hub. Okay. 30 cents? Survey says? What? You think 30 cents?
30.
No, I'm sorry, it's 35 cents.
35.
35 cents, very good. It's very good for you to give the answer at the end that's correct. Okay, that's good. So these are my electric bills for the last year and how much I paid per kilowatt hour, taking off the meter charge, which people tell me I can't do. If I add the meter charge, it goes up another 10 cents because I don't use that much electricity because I'm an environmentalist. I'll get more into that in a minute. So electricity at 35 cents a kilowatt hour. Harris, you were telling me that somebody you know got a heat pump and they said, oh my God, my energy bills went up by...
I don't know what the net increase is, but they're paying $300 a month for heating.
Okay. That's because electricity at 35 cents a kilowatt hour is the same as gas at $10.35 a therm. It's the same as number 2 oil at $13.85 a gallon. Just saying. Our energy's kind of expensive, and we don't pay attention to it. And some of the people that are preaching that are preaching electrification, which is different from decarbonization, won't tell you these numbers. So electricity over the last 25 years, overall usage has been going down nationally. I picked this up from the U.S. Energy Information Administration this morning. We're using less electricity because of efficiency. Huh. Who knew? But in the United States, if we look at all fuels and coal and natural gas and nuclear and hydro, oh, we're not really a green grid, are we? No, but everybody tells us the grid is greening. Did anybody know that the contract to bring hydroelectric power from Canada to New York City was canceled? Oh, so we're not going to get that cheap hydro. Oh, and by the way, the Canadians are really pissed at this guy named Trump, and they're saying all the hydro they give us right now, which makes my electric bill 35 cents a kilowatt hour, they're going to kick a 24%, 25% kicker on it. So my electricity is going to go from 35 cents a kilowatt hour to 50. Because the guy in Washington pisses off a lot of people. Okay, so this is, as of today, the Energy Administration says that, this isn't going to show up, nope. Coal is 14% of our electricity. Natural gas is 34, nuclear is 16, that's a big chunk. Non-hydro renewable is kicking up, but it's only 14%. Wind is 10%. These are good numbers to know, but we're still under 25. That isn't good. They've been climbing the most ridiculously of all of them. Small scale solar PV is 1.2%. So if you go to the Department of Energy website today, you can't get any information on the Department of Energy, but you can hear the speech that the new head of the Department of Energy gave to the new employees. And I can summarize it in 2 sentences. Drill, baby, drill, more nukes, less kooks. And that's it. Efficiency was never said. Alternatives were never said. So in New York City, we waste a lot of water and energy. We have ventilation fans on the roof, dumping warm air into the atmosphere. We have dumbwaiter shafts, which people tell me they shouldn't seal on the top of our old buildings, that are basically heat vents, like that. We have water coming out of the tap at 138.8 degrees Fahrenheit. And open hydrants, see them all the time. Not just in the Bronx where I work, on my street in Hell's Kitchen where I live. We're pigs. Anybody know how much electricity they use each month? Anybody? Nobody looks at that. How much?
240 kilowatt hours.
What the hell are you running? 5 refrigerators?
Electric hot water heater.
Oh, that's it. Got to get rid of that. Okay. The average New York City apartment uses 300 gallons of water each day. That's $1,800 a year. The average New York City apartment uses 300 kilowatt hours per month. I never use 100 because I shut stuff off. And I unplug my router because your router uses as much electricity as a small Energy Star refrigerator. Oh yeah, that's why the cat likes to sit close to it. That's 300 kilowatt hours a year, that's $1,500. But the mayor's long-term planning and sustainability said that efficiency is the most important thing about getting to decarbonization. Unfortunately, in Albany, we've got people that have introduced a bill to preclude us from giving gas to buildings that currently burn oil. The #1 way that we reduced carbon in New York City over the last 10 years is getting off of oil. But the Albany enviro-Nazis, I'm an environmentalist, but don't tell people that they have to get off gas until you give them cheap electricity, because it's too damn expensive. People tell me, oh, but we're building super efficient buildings. From 2002 to 2005, we added 52,000 units of housing. There were 3.2 million total. And the Department of City Planning says from 2005 to 2030, the new stuff we add is only going to be 7% of our housing. Who is investing in retrofit? Who is investing in rehab? Answer, no one. Everybody tells me this is a LEED building, it's going to be fabulous, it's going to be fantastic. Well, the tallest LEED building in the city, the Bryant Park building on the corner of 42nd Street and 6th Avenue is the Bank of America building. It's LEED Platinum. It's also the 4th highest user of energy per square foot of any building in the city. Oh, so LEED doesn't do its job. It's about bike racks and solar panels. Yeah, it's a bunch of crap. Okay, few years ago, a friend of mine who was a health and safety expert went to the Boston went to a managing company in Boston and said, how much do you pay for everything in your buildings? Like per apartment. And they found out that the low and the high is definitely about a 7 to 20 to 1 difference all the time. But she wanted to look at water, pest control, painting, landscaping, because she wanted to see if people were spending a lot of money on that, if health and safety problems and asthma were worse in buildings. You know what she found out? In buildings, the difference between water costs are $117 to $977 per apartment per month. Oh, I'm sorry, that's per year. This was 15 years ago. And she's a health and safety expert. So she's walking around the building with the super at the high building, and there was a hose in the backyard running 24/7. And she said, hey man, maybe you should shut that off. Oh, really? Yeah, that's a good idea. These are the things we're missing in buildings. Catastrophic waste. But now I'm back to water. 10 years ago, my right-hand woman, who is still working in the efficiency industry, looked at 750 multifamily buildings in New York State. And these are buildings that are centrally heated and have tenants pay their own electric, but they have common area electric. The oil bill for these buildings was about $10 million. The gas bill for these buildings was about $8 million. The water bill was twice that much in every building. The water bill is twice the fuel bill. Are we addressing it? Answer, nope. You know why? We don't see it. We don't pay attention to it. And it's pathetic. 5 months ago, New York City was in a drought. I did this presentation, and we were at 69% of capacity. But every time I went to a restaurant, they gave me a glass of water. Pardon me, WTF. If it's yellow, let it mellow. If it's brown, flush it down. Reduce your water use a little. Okay, now, we're still, our current is 84, but it should be 94. I'll talk about our reservoirs in a minute because they're an engineering marvel. But rainfall is 43% down what it normally is. Oh, this is bad. And we're not saving water. The mayor made a big stink about it a few months ago. I have a community garden, and because of the drought, he wouldn't let me use my charcoal grill. Yes, it's charcoal, I'm very sorry. It adds terrible things to the environment, but the food that comes off it is really good. But elsewhere in the country, the drought is so bad and water has been pulled from the country, the water so much. In the San Joaquin Valley in California, this was where the ground was in 25, this is where it was in 55, this is where it was in 77. We're losing hundreds of feet of soil from water being extracted from the ground for agriculture. Okay, I understand it. Nuclear power plants, I'm not so sure. Water efficiency should be part of retrofit or new construction. It might be the cash flow that actually makes a job work. So the water and sewer fees, we're charged $3.81 per 100 cubic feet. That's about 750 gallons. But you also get charged sewage costs, and that's 159% of that. So it ends up being about $6 per 100 cubic feet or 750 gallons. I'm sorry, it's $9.80 or 1.3 cents per gallon for water. And y'all go out and you buy how many people have a bottle of water with them? New York City water is so much better than any bottle of water you buy. You're just, pardon my pun, pissing money away, not drinking New York City water. So the major uses of potable water are toilets. Welcome to Toto. They make super, super, super efficient toilets, and I will talk about the efficiency of their toilets in a minute. Showers are number 2. Sinks for washing dishes are number 3 because we don't have dishwashers in New York City. Because every building owner says to me, my tenants are insert race, color, or creed of person. And they're animals, and they'll break a dishwasher. Every owner tells me this. New affordable housing, I said to them, hey, dishwashers are cheaper than kitchen cabinets. They started putting dishwashers in for a money-saving device, but it saves a lot of water. Leaks, clothes washing, washing sidewalks. NPR told me this morning that 33% of the apartments that are rented right now have a washer dryer in. How many have a washer dryer in your apartment? Yeah. Oh, really? Is it a heat pump dryer? What's that? So you put the clothes in, and 4.5 hours later, the clothes are still wet, right?
But I have solar and I have batteries. That's my specialty. So
Okay. Oh, okay. But the heat pump dryers don't dry your clothes.
I wouldn't use one. I just air dry.
Right. You need to be careful with that because that's adding a lot of moisture to your apartment. But anyway. Washing sidewalks and car and pools and gardens and lawns over there, that's not too much in New York City. But very simple conservation efforts. Just thinking a little bit reduces you from 72.5 to 49.6 gallons per person per day. So we can get 32% savings in water just by being smart. Like when you're washing the dishes, turning the water off, not running it for 20 minutes solid. The average household flushes the toilet 4.1 times per person per day. Toilets leak at the flapper. I was in an affordable multifamily building the other day, walking through with the owner of the building, and as I'm walking, I heard the toilet go, shh, and then stop, shh, and then stop, shh, and then stop. I said, do you know that costs you $2,000 a year? And he said, oh, no, it doesn't. I said, I'm the professional here. You're not. You've got 80 violations on your building. You've got rats in your building. And I'm trying to save you a little money, and you're not listening to me. The maximum performance testing program was introduced in the late 90s, early 2000s. And this Canadian guy and this California guy said, I don't think toilets work. So they checked. It's a joint study between a guy from the US and a guy from Canada. It has nothing to do with the governments. 45% of off-the-shelf toilets tested failed to remove a minimum accepted solid material of 250 grams. That's 250 grams is a half a pound. Yeah, you have to think about poop for a minute. Okay, let's think about poop for a minute. The performance ranged in toilets from 100 to 900 grams. Every toilet in the showroom performs over 1,000 grams. That's what we want in every toilet. So these guys from Canada and California made this soy paste. And then they rolled it up into little things. Guys always laugh at this, women don't. You know, it's 4th grade boy humor. And then they weighed them in at 3 to 150 grams each, and they figured out it was more efficient to reuse them if they wrapped them in a condom first. So then they could reuse them. And they put it in the toilet, and they added a little paper, and they tested all the toilets. So besides inventing artificial poop, which is a soy-based product, what else did the maximum performance toilet testing do? It single-handedly changed the market. Now, everybody. Tonight I came in and I said, what's the map on your toilets? And I hear, over 1,000, every toilet. That's great. That's a well-performing toilet. And all these toilets are 1 point something gallons, maybe 1 gallon per flush. And they don't have a flapper, so they don't leak at the flapper. And all of a sudden the EPA chimed in and said, oh, we should know about this. We should start this program called the Water Sense Program. Meanwhile, everybody in the Weatherization Assistance Program has been doing this for 20 years. And EPA all of a sudden comes in and says, wow, maybe we don't need shower heads that are 12 gallons a minute. The building that performs the most amount of training for Local Law 97 and Local Law 94 and Local Law 84, I went into their bathroom recently. Ladies, you may not be familiar with this, but this is a urinal. It's for gentlemen to stand up and pee. And there's a sign over the urinal that says, please hold the flush button down for 10 seconds. This is a place that's training us all in how to save money, energy, and water. Maybe they could get waterless urinals that work without using water and only need to be cleaned nightly. What a good idea, but did anyone do it here? And they're like, no, it's a city building. Let me explain something to you. If you work in a city building, all you do is you have a plumber come in at night and change it when nobody's watching. And then they come and they yell at you because it's easier to get forgiveness than permission. I went to a New York City Housing Authority building 5 years ago, and the highest ranking sustainability person that you used to work for said to me, all of our toilets are under 2.5 gallons. Well, no. This is a 6 gallon one. And if you pick up the top of the toilet and look at it, it tells you what year it was manufactured. So, happy 67th birthday toilet. And that's a toilet that's just wasting water all the time. This building had 17 apartments, and the owner sent snail mail to all the tenants and said, what's up? Tell us where the leaks are. Our water bills are really high. And I heard about this, and I said to the owner, it's your toilets. He said, no, it's not my toilets. And I said, how do you know? He said, my plumber says our toilets are fine. I said, how old's your plumber? He said, 82. You find this funny. I don't find this funny. I get angry about it. You see that I'm getting angry? So I specified 1.1 flush gallon toilets with no flapper valve. The water bill went down 40% in 1 month. That's huge money. I saw this shower head 10 years ago, that when you turn on the water, it flies out the side handle. Yeah. Most conservation programs put in crappy shower heads. This is a really nice shower head. It costs a little bit more. I have measured showers at over 12 gallons per minute. I am over 6 foot tall. I weigh over 200 pounds. And believe me, I cannot get 12 gallons per minute on me, no matter how hard I try. I have this shower head in my shower. Many of the low flow models are awful. Many inexpensive low flow models are great. This is the Niagara Sava Spa, 1.25 gallons per minute. I have a slight water pressure problem in my building, so I get 1.1 gallons per minute because I've measured it. Everybody get a toy tonight? What is it? It's a drip gauge. If you go into a building where the water's going, you put it underneath. 1 drop a second is 5 gallons a day. You didn't get one? I'm terribly sorry. Oh, you need one. Yes, right. Would you like 10? I have 50.
I just don't like that.
I'm leaving the rest of them with Toto tonight. The bathroom sink. Bathroom sinks are used for hand washing and toothbrushing. Yes, I know. When I was a kid, that's where I was bathing. I get it. So you need a little bit more water. I was a very little kid, not like 5 years ago. Do we really need high volumes of water in a bathroom sink? Most lavatory and bathrooms can get by on half a gallon per minute, but I did energy audits 3 years ago of 9,000 units of housing. The average bath sink gallons per minute is more than the shower. What the hell? Architects specify this. Sinks for washing dishes. I don't know if you ever go into people's apartments, but I have to. And when I'm doing energy audits, I have to find out if their refrigerator is efficient and if it's cost effective to replace it. And I say, may I open your refrigerator? And they say yes. If it is a low income family, their refrigerator is stocked with food because they cook and they feed the kids. If it's most of you, there's a bottle of water, there's a container of ketchup, and that's about it. And so you don't use the kitchen sink to fill up pots because you don't cook pasta and you don't cook rice. You know, this is the complaint of people when I drop their kitchen sink down to 1.5 gallons, it takes forever for me to fill the rice pot. Okay. The pasta pot. Okay. The bean pot. Okay. I cook all the time and I've learned. Turn it on and do something else. And watch it so it doesn't overflow. Why should I have flows of 5 gallons per minute? The sink should be under 2, and the temperature of the water should be at 120 or less. Because I've measured water at 138.8 degrees at the tap. Yeah, that would burn human skin, 2nd or 3rd degree burns in about 30 seconds. 140 in 5 seconds, 150 in a second and a half. This isn't ow. This is 3rd degree burns, see you in the hospital. And if a child gets burned by the average owner in New York City and I testify against the owner, that owner is going to lose big time. Because the architects and engineers specify crappy equipment to keep the water at a safe temperature, which is very easy to do. DEP has the New York City Department of Environmental Protection has a water conservation program because people just use too much water, and owners of affordable housing said, well, you know, we can't afford to do this. Well, you could afford to change the toilets, put in aerators, and change the shower heads, but instead they complained. So they got a deal in their buildings. If they install low consumption plumbing hardware and fixtures, the fixed charges will not go over $1,285 per year. That assumes 76,000 gallons of usage in an apartment, or 208 gallons per apartment per day. Kind of hard to use that much. And when we looked at a management company who had signed on to this, these are their buildings that were in the multifamily conservation program. All of them were in. These were the only ones that were over. These were paying the city too much. When you go back to the city and say, hey, I'm on the DEP MPC program and I want my money back. You know what they say? Nope. You signed on, you're stuck. So we've got a program designed for affordable housing owners that aren't paying attention to their water bills because They just asked for a subsidy, and they're stupid. Excuse me. They're not very bright. I've done thousands of energy audits. This was in Canandaigua, New York. It's an all-electric building. The tenants pay their own electric. But the only gas is for the hot water in the building. And this building is managed by the Archdiocese of Western New York. And I was raised a Catholic, so I can make fun of the Archdiocese of New York. And I stood looking at this, and I saw a brand new, this is a 30-year-old hot water maker, and right next to it was a brand new one. And I stood and I looked at it, and the head of engineering of the Archdiocese was behind me, and I said, pardon my French for a minute, "What stupid asshole specified this?" And he said, "That would be me." Because he wrote a spec that said, "Replace with same." And that is the sin of the architecture, engineering, and specifying business all over the world. So, electrically heated, individually metered building, you got a blower door on each apartment and made the apartments 25% tighter on average. The electric bills went down 25%. 25% tighter, 25% savings. Interesting. The new gas hot water heaters replaced the older models. Low flow shower heads and aerators were installed. Get ready for this. 46% reduction in gas use and 21% reduction in water use. Huh, that's pretty cheap. Oh, today that building's heat pump ready for all of you heat pump advocates.
Can we ask questions?
I'm sorry?
Can we ask questions?
Please.
So if people are paying their own electric bill, why was the building incentivized to help with decreasing electric usage?
Because they want to make life nicer for the tenants.
I guess I'm not used to that.
And we were giving them bags of cash to do it. This is very common.
No, so they pay their
The water-
electric bill before.
The water bill and the gas bill is paid by the building. They made big cash on this. Dishwashers, a 2.5 gallon per minute faucet in a sink uses 25 gallons of water in 10 minutes. I watch my friends wash dishes, and I want to kill them with my bare hands. The water runs, and I go over and turn it off. And they said, "I'm washing the dishes." I'm like, "No, you're not. You're just running the water." Soak the things up. Energy Star dishwashers use 25% less than federal standards, and they're down between 5 and 10 gallons per load. It's crazy. If you want to find leaks in the building, go down and look at the water meter at 3 o'clock in the morning. Or, in New York City, go online and look at it, and you can find it. Fixing a leak, if a sink has a slow drip, it's 36 gallons a day, that's that much per year. 180 gallons per day with a steady drip, that's that much per year. Seeping, leaking, and running toilets, I'm one of those guys. I go into a restaurant and the toilet is running, and I roll my sleeves up and I fix the toilet, and I wash, don't judge me. I wash my hands. Then, I go and I tell them A to B. Your water is leaking in the toilet in bathroom 2 at 6,000 gallons per year. That's $28,000. $28,000 per year when you hear that toilet running. And this owner that went into his building with me the other day, and I heard the toilet going whoosh, 5 seconds. Whoosh, 5 seconds. Whoosh, like, you have a leaking toilet. He'd never heard that before. You got to change the flapper valve. So I tried to explain to the super that he needed to change the flapper valve. I don't speak Russian. He did, so we have to figure this out. In the 22nd century, there's these things. This is manufactured by a company in New Jersey, and I went to this building in the Bronx, and the guy said, oh yeah, we got the GPM2K system. We don't need to do shower heads and aerators. It restricts the flow at every shower head and aerator. It controls flow without reducing pressure, but it controls non-volumetric, not volumetric, like showers and sinks versus toilets and washing machines. This building had changed all its toilets, low-flow shower heads, faucet aerators, and they put this thing in and got 24% additional savings. And I call these guys up and I want more information. I want to talk to them. 6 months to return my email. Oh yeah, we really want to market this more, but we're really busy with another product. What's your other product? We have a water purification system that makes water exactly like New York City water. So pizza kitchens in Florida are buying it so that their pizza tastes like New York pizza. I'm not kidding. Yes, if it's the 20th century, we can do stuff like this. When the Solaire was built, I was one of the first people to tour through it because the company I worked for then did the LEED certification. This building's pretty good. It has a stormwater collection system that has 10,000 gallons of stormwater in the basement. It retains that water and it's used for irrigation in this whole park, and in the gardens here, and in the gardens up here. The system was sized to accommodate the irrigation requirements of the site, which is this building and the building behind it. And if you ever see this picture in any publication of the Solaire, it's my picture, and everyone in the United States stole it. Further, they have a black water treatment system. That's the water that has the poop in it. And it goes all the way to the bottom, it recaptures it. They use the recaptured water after it's cleaned and purified for the cooling towers, and it's used in the toilets again. But the building uses 50% less potable water than conventional buildings. No potable water is used for outdoor. They use 21 gallons per apartment. And after they filter that black water and bring it up to the top of the building, there's a tank. And right next to the tank, they have a cup holder. And they say, would you like some black water? And I'm like, sure. And the super drinks one, and I drink one, and they're all Irish guys, so we didn't have a shot of whiskey beforehand. I'm of Irish extraction, so I can make fun of the Irish. But this water is completely clean. It's filtered. We have wastewater treatment plants all over the city. You know what we do with them? You know what waste has in it? Methane. You know what we do with that methane? We flare it. Those are our waste treatment. These are our resource recovery facilities. Now they're dumping compost in them as well because they don't know what to do with the compost. And in one plant, they're recovering the methane. Way to go. But some environmentalists tell me, well, we have to get off gas because there's methane in it. What are we doing with the methane in here? I was taking the train home to New York City on Amtrak, and right after we got by Yonkers, Yonkers has their waste treatment plant. Right past the train, just south of it. And on a dark night, there was a gas flare that was this tall coming off the waste treatment plant. That's straight methane burning into the environment. Nobody's recovering here, but guess what? The city's telling the guys that make my pizza, they can't use wood in their ovens anymore because there's too much methane getting into the air. Too many particulates. Let's talk about this for a minute. This is a classic, do as I say, not as I do. And I have 100 of these. So the full cost of using hot water is about $0.015 a gallon for the water and about $0.015 a gallon to heat it. assuming you're heating it with a gas hot water maker. If you're heating it with a heat pump, multiply that number by 5. Because a heat pump water heater is not, it's not as efficient as it says, and electricity is really expensive, for the record. But on average, it takes about a half a kilowatt hour of electricity to deliver 1 gallon of water at a building. And it takes about a half a kilowatt of electricity to process 1 gallon of water in a sewage treatment plant. So 1 gallon is a kilowatt hour, except in New York City. Because in New York City, we have this fabulous engineering marvel that brings us the cleanest water in the world, and you all drink bottled water, and I think you're a bunch of dummies for doing it. Because it's the Catskill Delaware watershed, which is 125 miles northwest of the city, it gives us more than 90% of our supply. The rest comes from the Croton watershed. And to safeguard it, they have to protect the land around the streams, rivers, lakes, and reservoirs. The watershed encompasses more than 1 million acres. The city, state, and local governments own, and conservancies own 40% of the land. The rest is privately owned, but development is regulated to prevent pollutants from getting into the water supply. Like that. Like those pollutants. The city has upgraded the septic systems and wastewater treatment plants in communities around the watershed and helped build municipal salt sheds and manure sheds on dairy farms to prevent harmful runoff. The Federal Environmental Protection Administration exempts the water originating in the Catskill Delaware watershed from its usual filtration requirements, a dispensation the agency gives to only a few other major cities. In other words, our water tested by the EPA says, nope, you don't have to filter it. It's super clean. The 92-mile-long Catskill Aqueduct, which goes underneath the Hudson River 1,100 feet, was constructed a century ago. It can take anywhere from 12 weeks to a year for the water to wind its way to the city from the streams, tunnels, and dams. And it gets there by gravity alone. What an engineering marvel. But some of those decaying waterways are leaking more than 18 million gallons a day. Now it's leaking back into the aquifer, so it's not a terrible thing, but we should be managing this. So to solve this, we're building a new tunnel. And for the last 10 years, DEP has told me, any day now, we're going to open it. It runs right down 10th Avenue, and one of the stations by it is right near my house. So I see the work happening on it, but we haven't gotten it yet. And as soon as we open that one and close another one that's leaking, all of the tiles in the one that's leaking that have been held up by water pressure are going to completely collapse. And then we have another 40-year construction project of replacing the water. The Hillview Reservoir is the last stop. It's like a 900 million gallon bathtub. That gives us enough water to supply the city for a day. We went down below 1 billion gallons about 20 years ago. They put chlorine, phosphoric acid, and sodium hydroxide to disinfect it, raise the pH levels, and protect the pipes from corroding and releasing harmful metals like lead. I hear from people all the time, oh, the city pipes are lead. No, actually, they're not. They've been replacing them for decades. That's our water. But that's not where we use most of our water. No, I'm sorry. In 2010, which used more water each day, the city of New York or the Indian Point nuclear power plant? This is a loaded question. How many think the city of New York? You're wrong. Nuclear power plants use tons of water, and they dump heated water into the Hudson River for decades, which caused algae blooms all in the Hudson. Power plant water use is the water taken from the surface or groundwater source. In most cases, some fraction of that water is returned, but water consumption is part of that withdrawal water that isn't readily available for reuse because it's evaporated. So thermoelectric plants use a lot of water. Irrigation uses a lot of water. Drinking water uses a lot of water. In Georgia, the nuclear power plants during a drought about 5 years ago were a day from shutting down because they wouldn't have enough water to cool them. And Georgia is highly dependent on nuclear power. That's withdrawal. So utility consumption is very small compared to domestic and irrigation. That's consumption. I don't know if this is going to work. I use this again. I'm hoping this works. Let me turn the volume up on this. Just give me a second. Oh, it won't work. One more try.
Control C.
I'm sorry?
Control click, did you try that?
Open link.
You can do that.
Open mic.
Where? Oh, go down
Yeah.
to the right.
Here.
It's okay.
I can give you a hotspot if you want.
It's okay. Nope. This was just a little thing that we had on nuclear power. I'm sorry we don't have this because it says how the Australian government is trying to invest in nuclear power again when the greatest increase of the power they've been building for the last 10 years is solar and wind. But the oil executives want them to spend money on nuclear so they don't have money for soil and wind, for solar and wind. Because then they'll have to go to nuclear. So it's very, very strange bedfellows. So to produce 1 kilowatt of electricity, it takes a half a gallon of water if it's a if it's a conventional generating station, 18 gallons if it's a hydroelectric. You don't lose those 18 gallons in a hydroelectric. So that means that if you have a coffee pot with a hot plate on it, it uses 3 quarts of water per hour. A 20 incandescent hot 100 watt bulbs use a gallon an hour. 20 CFLs use a quart per hour. A plasma TV uses a quart per hour. A 30 cubic foot refrigerator uses a gallon a day. A 15 cubic foot Energy Star refrigerator uses a half a gallon a day. Electric clothes dryers use 1 to 3 gallons per hour. But we have to look at virtual energy use because, see, if I take this wheat and I process it, which takes 48 gallons to produce, and then I process it into pasta, which takes 3 gallons of water to produce, and then I ship it via truck, and it costs 1.5 gallons to get to the supermarket, and then I use a half a gallon of water to cook it in, it takes 53 gallons of water to make a pot of pasta. Excuse me, a plate of pasta. 12-ounce baked potato uses 23 gallons. A quart of milk equals 4,000 gallons. A 4-pound chicken, 2,000 gallons. A dozen eggs, this is why they're so expensive, 636 gallons. And 4 pounds of pork chops, 2,200. 4 pints of beer, 156 versus 4 glasses of wine, 186. So the thing here is drink beer, not wine.
So much is beef.
Beef is really bad. And one of the worst things I do for the environment is I'm not a vegan and I'm not a vegetarian. And that consumes probably the most amount of water that I use. Because a fast food burger takes about 2,700 gallons. 3 Starbucks coffees, 178 gallons of water. 3 Starbucks 16-ounce teas, 43. Yes, tea uses less than coffee. Okay. A beef eating diet per day uses 1,300 gallons. A vegetarian drops to 650. A vegan drops it to 89. But 1 pound of almonds uses 2,000 gallons of water. I swear to God, I'll give you this presentation. You don't have to take pictures. I swear to you. I promise. If you're signed up for this, you will get it. Is that right? Okay. A cotton t-shirt is 659 gallons. Cotton jeans are 2,100 gallons. Your smartphone is 3,000 gallons. Your leather shoes are 3,600 gallons. I wore my leather shoes today. I only have 2 pairs. The rest are sneakers and hiking shoes. I'm a bad example today. A car, 13 to 22,000 gallons of water. A 1-gallon water bottle takes 2 gallons of water to make it. Not to fill it, to make it. Still want to buy that bottle of water? Yeah, keep it up. A gallon of gasoline only takes 2.5 gallons of water. I want you all to focus on positives. Because every day I'm going in a building and I'm fixing shit. And I'm making buildings more energy efficient. And I didn't show all the buildings where we had fantastic results of 50% savings at the Auburn Housing Authority. And the head of the Auburn Housing Authority wrote me a 2-page thank you letter because the cash flow in the building improved so dramatically, and the building improved so dramatically that the vacancy rate in the building went from 25% to 3% in a month. That's cash flow. This is energy efficiency, this is building buildings better, this is retrofit. We're all about retrofit, okay? Anybody that talks about LEED or Energy Star or, I love all of the certifications, but they don't say energy. And we have old buildings that we need to fix, and we're not fixing them. And you know what we're telling owners? You need to switch to heat pumps. I lived in New York City in 1979. And in 1975, the cost of gas went, from 1975, the cost of number 2 oil went from 25 cents a gallon to $1 a gallon. And owners abandoned their buildings for energy costs alone and practiced something called arson for profit. I walked through acres of the South Bronx. Rubble. Looked no different than Gaza looks today. No different. Wrecked buildings. And that's the cost of energy alone. And we're telling owners that you have to go off gas and go to heat pumps that are going to increase their fuel costs by a factor of a minimum of 5. Because every heat pump company that tells you our heat pumps have an efficiency rating of 5, and then you look at the small print, when it's 75 degrees out in Florida. The cold climate heat pumps get have an efficiency of about 200%, but their fuel costs a lot more. I don't want to see abandoned buildings in the Bronx again because the city, the state, and the federal government gave them heat pumps under the guise of decarbonization. We got to decarbonize the grid first. There's some good things happening. Two environmentalists are walking along the beach, and they see this. And one of the environmentalists freaks out. Oh my God, these starfish are all going to die. What are we going to do? And the other environmentalist leans down and grabs one of them and throws them out in the water and says, that guy's doing pretty good. We have to do everything one starfish at a time. And if we don't do that, we're just being stupid. And I hate to use the word stupid, but a lot of the stuff that's getting shut down our throats these days is stupid. Thank you.